has actually elapsed in this range that we've been in here for XRP. Back in 2017, it obviously got range bound for quite some time after its first major leg, and then eventually it went for another bigger leg to head out. We've been in this range about that long, maybe a little bit longer. But structurally, most of the same behavior has actually already happened in here that otherwise would have happened in this same range. The thing that keeps me a little bit on caution is whether or not we're still just kind of working out some ending here with some ABC action to come here right at the very end to completely destroy sentiment right there at the very end before the big break ends up coming. And let me explain that. This is my bigger picture perspective for Bitcoin and what I think is going to happen for the price chart. That everything we've been working on in here is equivalent to working on wave 5 to go in for the ending of Bitcoin's bull run. I do speculate that in the coming days, we will see something like this show up in here for Bitcoin, and it does break out. The thing is, it's likely going to correct once it gets through that breakout, then push in for its parabolic 5-wave ending, and then that becomes the end of the market. I kind of run that through my head and say, all right, so what's going to happen with the price of XRP in an environment like that? Well, likely the price would pop up, right? I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. But what I wonder is what would happen with the price of XRP in the event that there's a correction once Bitcoin gets through that breakout and it backtests before performing a final ending parabola. Well, if XRP doesn't pull off something majestic and go set a new all-time high, and then ABC back to the top of that range or something before then breaking out and going again, then I would have to assume it's likely going to be something along the lines where we get back to the top of this range area, around 260 or so, maybe somewhere higher in there, but 260 would seem reasonable for it to happen at. It performed.
Good evening, Warriors. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of your favorite crypto news channel, Good Evening Crypto. And guys, we are obviously celebrating today as we've got an XRP breakout and a Bitcoin all-time high, or I should say new all-time high here in full effect. And we already got 1,300 people here celebrating. I would love to hear, do you believe XRP breaks its all-time high in the month of July? What we're seeing right now with Bitcoin paints an extremely optimistic picture, Johnny. This morning, we passed 112,000, currently trading at $113,600. That is a mouthful, and I think it's only the beginning when you really look at what's happening here with Bitcoin, but also for the XRP community, we are also performing extremely well. We have XRP trading at $2.50 this morning, and what's important is what BC Backer had to say. It's really going to be determined by whether we get through $2.60 or we are rejected at this range here, kind of like we were in May. Regardless, we're gearing up for that next leg up, and people should be excited, guys. We already have 1,600 live listeners here. If you're excited and enjoying this content, show us some love. Smash that like button. Now, I know we just finished Good Morning Crypto an hour ago. We are already back celebrating this bullish price action. But Johnny, the picture that I think is being painted here, Bitcoin breaks its all-time high. Dominance continues to rise. Bitcoin tops in that 120,000 range. And when we see that pullback, altcoins like XRP, Solana, HBAR, and so on are set to explode towards the back end of this summer, just as regulation enters this market. So I couldn't be more excited myself. What's your reaction? July 10th, 2025, we got Bitcoin breaking and creating a new all-time high.
Well, I was remember, guess what we have in about 5 days from now, 4 or 5 days? We have what's called Krypto Week that starts on July 14th or 15th all the way through next week. No surprise here that we're actually seeing price movement happening before going into Crypto Week. I would expect that. The smart money always moves first. And so to me, I'm not surprised. I'm kind of excited that we're finally getting some movement. It's so completely opposite of what you'd expect. Sell in May, go away, just went completely away. The whole thing, roll that so much up and throw it away because that didn't work this year. We are in a completely different cycle right now, and that's totally fine too. We know that President Trump wants a bill on his desk by August, he said, Abs, and that can be a game changer for the whole entire market. So not surprised to see the action starting to happen. The question is, how high will we go?
And we got a lot of exciting news in regards to XRP that happens. It feels like every single day here, Johnny. But look at what the XRP price chart is doing right now. And it's doing something that we've been calling for, which is creating a higher low, which is what occurred back here. And I believe it was late June when we bottomed out at $1.91. Well, today we are already 60 cents up from that previous price target, about 25% of the XRP price chart. And what's really happening here, we got to break through this psychological resistance at 250, get a daily closure above $2.60, and then it is off to the races, guys. And I believe we are going to head up well above 330, eventually getting some daily closures above $3.80 after this breakout. But Johnny, for a lot of people who are new to the market, they've been hearing this claim for a while, right? We've been talking about the breakout, the alt season, the regulation, and the fact that these ETFs are coming. There's going to be a day for the XRP community where it's not this bullish anymore. And so when we look at the market and how we have so much optimism and so much excitement around many of our favorite projects, newer investors feel like that's just how crypto is. Trust me, we just came out of a bear market. This is a unique situation for the crypto market. Now, not only is it from an adoption standpoint, it's from a price target standpoint. And if you haven't created a plan, take advantage today. Try out Merlin, 30 days completely free. Get into our application, set your exit targets so you know what to do when XRP reaches like $4, $5, and so on. Now, blockchain backer, how can these alts perform well if dominance of Bitcoin never decreases? Well, Johnny, you have a response to that, so I'll give you the floor.
You know what, Abs? I'm glad you brought that up. To me, this is kind of where I think the markets are going to be different. Whereas in the past, it was the same pool of money kind of moving around, squishing around, going here, going there. So it first goes into first goes into Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes up as high as it can humanly get it to go. And then all that money comes flowing out of their Abs. And we saw historically it goes into all the altcoins. And then everybody kind of gets that. And it cycles and rotates through the altcoins, okay? What I think is different this time, to answer that question of why we don't need Bitcoin dominance to potentially fall down, is you're going to have a whole shit ton of new money coming in that's been wanting to come in, that's sitting on the sidelines for a long time, that regulation is going to unlock. And so I can see a scenario, Abs, where Bitcoin dominance moves up, new money comes in, some of it may go into Bitcoin, but some of it is also going to go into altcoins and drive everything up. So to me, I'm not necessarily looking for the same exact thing that everybody else is expecting. I actually would not be surprised to actually see both going up at the same time. Bitcoin dominance and altcoin dominance kind of rising at the same time. I totally think that's very, very possible. So we'll have to wait and see, but I think that's very possible.
Here's the reality, Johnny. It was only 8 months ago that 2,500 XRP was a $500 investment. Now, if you're going to purchase 2,500 XRP, that is a $5,000 investment for anybody who's just getting into the space today. Somebody commented, a big shout out to KG, loyal listener, OG, as we like to say. He said XRP with the $20 donation. Massive thank you to KG for showing out every single day. A very loyal and consistent member of the GMC and GEC community. I also want to give a shout out to Love Stocks. We love and appreciate you. But Johnny, any message for KG really quick?
Yeah, you know what, KG, thank you so much for the donations and support. We're trying to free Abs so he can do this full time. We both like to be able to do this full time. So these donations actually help. Guys, you've always said, how can you give back? This is a great way to give back. You can do it through live donations right here on the Good Evening Crypto Show. Not the Good Morning one, but the Good Evening Crypto Show. So KG, you're a true supporter. We appreciate you. We love your wrench. And we love that tweet. XRP, baby, to the moon. Oh, Good Evening Crypto.
Johnny, and you know what's funny? We did a video earlier this week talking about how much XRP you need to become a millionaire. And that's been the top performing video on this channel since we started creating content. Here's some of the data behind that analysis. Now, if you want to be in the top 10%, you only need 2,500 XRP tokens. But more interestingly, if you want to be in the top 1% of crypto wallets that hold XRP, you only need 51,300 units of XRP. And we are going to see dozens, if not hundreds of companies going out and purchasing way more than that initial number. So live chat, I'd love to hear, do you have more than 51,000 XRP? And of course, I'm just kidding, Johnny. But the reality is, I think it's going to become more difficult every single day to accumulate a meaningful amount of XRP. And I said, it's $5,000 to get in the top 10%. With a $2.50 XRP, it's actually $6,300 to get into the top 10% of XRP holders on planet Earth, guys. But I think there's plenty of people in this live chat who have done their accumulation, they're excited for the bull market, and they're ready for this market and XRP's price chart to go for that next leg up and create that brand new all-time high above $3.84. Now, I've showed you this update several times here on Good Morning Crypto. When we eventually break out of this bullish pennant here, which it clearly shows, Johnny, on the daily structure, we have broken out of this bullish pennant. I am anticipating a very quick move, not only above all-time high, but getting daily closures above $3.84. It's like BC Backer outlined. We're going to break out, create this new all-time high at about $4, and then back test $2.70 to $3 before we get ready for that next leg up. But I want to show our listeners that beautiful sight to see a $2.50 XRP is back on the table, Johnny. So we've been waiting for a while. Our day is finally here. Now, here's the question, live chat. How long until KG's donation is equal to 1 XRP? Does it take 1 year? Does it take 2 years? The truth is, Johnny, nobody knows when, but it will happen, right? I genuinely believe as this space continues to evolve, there will be a day where we wake up and we do a live stream and we're looking at a 1999 XRP. But so what are some of your thoughts? Then we'll get into some video.
Well, Abs, I think that's just absolutely right. You have to have the fortitude to be able to live through this. And right now, I could care less about 260, 259, 237, 338. I could care less. It really doesn't matter to me. I've got Merlin. It's going to tell me when the alerts happen, and I'm going to get the alert, and I'm going to stick to my plan, and I'm going to sell. And then beyond that, I've got a huge chunk of a bag that I'm leaving for the future, Abs. And that's going to be my bag that's going to get, sold when we're sitting there in maybe the 20s, the 50s, the 100s, the 200s. This thing can go. Nobody knows how high it's going to go. I'm not sitting here and lie and say, I know how high it's going. Like, I didn't know Amazon was going to 3,300 20 years later, but it did. Okay. So the point is, you want to make sure you capitalize when that run actually happens. You want to have a bag that's there. You want to have a bag that's ready to go at these different levels. So for me, the exciting part is the future's unwritten. Upside potential on this thing can be huge. We are sitting here talking, Abs, about a $3 trillion market. Moving to 50 trillion or holy cow, moving to potentially 100 trillion. Shout out to Frankie J. To $100 trillion market. So, do you understand the upside potential that is in there for the altcoins that survive, that are going to make a run from a little tiny pool of 3 trillion to a massive pool of $100 trillion? I'm not saying it's going to be a 33 to 1% ratio, 33x ratio. It could be, some are going to be much, much higher. And so if you just used a conservative 33, that already puts you at a $66 XRP. But anyway, my point being is it can be much, much higher than that. So I just ask everybody to, get excited, be happy, have an exit plan, which should be right here. But I'm not home right now. I'm on the lake. So have an exit plan so that you are prepared and ready and not nervous and trying to figure out what to do, but you'll know exactly when to do it. See you later, Dad.
And we got to give a massive shout out. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. The floor is yours.
We got to give a massive shout out to Frankie J, guys. Frankie J with the $50 donation. Big shout out to you. He said, I got my bags packed. I got my ticket. I got my bags packed. I'm just waiting to get on the ride. And lucky for us, when we're looking at the XRP price chart, that ride has begun, guys. But you know the standard here. When we break $100 in donations, Johnny Krypto does the rest of the show shirt off for the program. So that's a little incentive for you all. Now, Johnny, on a more serious note, I want to give a big thank you to Frankie and a big shout out to KG for both their donations. We appreciate every single one of you guys. This is something we talked about earlier this morning. I want to break it down on this show as well. If XRP is going to pass Bitcoin, we need at least $37.50 in value. And this was done before we just broke our all-time high. So this data is if Bitcoin's $111,000. We are already at $113,000. So let's just round it off. XRP needs to get, oh no, Johnny Krypto, KG with the $100 donation. He said, don't lie to us. So guys, here's the deal. To close out the episode, Johnny Krypto will take his shirt off at the end of the show. If there's any kids present, we'll have them leave the premises, and then we'll get that done before the end of the episode. Massive shout out to KG. Big thank you to Frankie J, and a special shout out to KG for donating twice. You're the man. Can't say that enough. Now, Johnny, my point being with this whole XRP analysis here, if Bitcoin is going to be passed by any altcoin, it's going to be XRP. Ethereum's too slow. It's outdated. And quite frankly, I think Ethereum's ecosystem peaked back in 2021. XRP is an emerging ecosystem. And I think that we are only going to see more articles and more highlights like we saw today, whether it's Bank of America launching products on the XRPL, whether it's BNY Mellon partnering with Ripple to be the custodian for their stablecoin. There is going to be dozens, probably more, of American companies and fintech companies in particular that are using the XRP ledger. And so what's my point behind that? When these companies migrate onto blockchain and they put their tokenized assets on the ledger, or they launch a stablecoin with smart contracts on the XRPL, that money is here to stay. So that 4-year cycle narrative is going to be diminishing before our very eyes. And that, to me, says our listeners are earlier than they anticipate. So I'd love to get some of your thoughts.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Is we are moving from a market that was geeks and nerds, and we all kind of owned it and played with it and got to play with it every 4 years. We got this crazy pump up and cycle thing, and we had no idea what was going on. And then it moved to a real market, real utility, which means we're going to whittle it down. What's going to happen is a lot of coins are going to go away, but the real ones that have real world utility solves apps, they are going to draw all the value. The total locked value is going to get locked into those blockchains, and that's going to drive those prices up. The utility use cases are going to grow and grow and grow beyond your imagination. I mean, look at us today. Here we are talking live. I'm sitting in front. I'm at the lake house, and I'm talking to you live, dude. If you had told me 20 years ago I could be sitting here talking to you, you're in Boston, I'm down here in Connecticut, in the lake, and we're talking live over the internet, like I would have been like, are you crazy, dude? It wasn't even conceivable. Okay. And here we are today, and think of all the value that the internet has driven to it because of the technologies behind it that enable it. Well, that's exactly what blockchains are. And there is going to be a ton of value that they're driving into the industry from a technology perspective and company perspective. Every single company in the world, it's like cell phones, okay? In 95. Nobody had a cell phone. I did. I had a little brick one, right? Because I was working for a certain company. We were making batteries for them. So I got to play with. But nobody had a cell phone. Like it was like you were lucky if you had a phone. And it was a big brick one too, you carried in your car, okay? Today, everybody and their mother, kids are born with cell phones, okay? That's how much it's ubiquitous. Well, that's what's going to happen with this technology. Every single company's going to want it. Every single company's going to adopt it. They're going to use it. Some are going to use HBAR. Some are going to use Algo. Some are going to use Ethereum. Some are going to use XRP. Some are going to be built on top of it. It's okay. It's all good. It's all coming, and you're all here before it happens. Congratulations. You're going to get a lake. It's going to be like Oprah. You're going to get a lake house. You get a lake house. Everybody's going to have a lake house. Our whole chat's going to have a lake house because you're going to be sitting there. If you hold on and you're patient and you don't do what I did in 97 and sell all of your Amazon, Abs, had I just sold a little bit, think about this. Had I sold some at 110, 120 and then bought it back at $1 and then held it to 3,300, I would have even made bigger than a $52 million mistake. Well, that opportunity is coming again for all of you. So get excited because there is going to be a massive upside potential coming in this market very, very soon, in my opinion.
Well, first of all, we got to give a massive birthday shout out to Brother Broski, another loyal listener for both GMC and GEC. Happy birthday, my friend. Now, we don't know how old you are, but here's what we do know. As an XRP investor, Johnny, your best years are in front of you, regardless of your age, right? So that's pretty awesome, guys. I want to give a big shout out to Convicted Mind here. He said, speaking facts, Johnny, that's why I named my son after you. So there's a young Johnny Krypto out there in the world. And I'm only teasing, guys. But Johnny, here's something else that's really interesting. And I think that we should talk about it live on the show, guys. We do have 5,500 people here. Obviously, the XRP breakout is in full effect. We've got Bitcoin creating a brand new all-time high as well, trading currently at 113,000, nearly $500. I want to give a huge shout out to the live donations. Frankie J said, I got my ticket packed. My bags are packed. I'm just waiting to get on the ride. Well, it depends what you're on. Are you on the Bitcoin ride, the XRP ride? Because it seems both are getting started here in the summer of 2025. And KG with the $100 donation stating this, don't lie to us, guys. We are going to get a shirtless Johnny before the end of the episode. That was the deal that we have here on GEC.
Whoa. How come Johnny's not involved in any of these deals? You keep writing checks that I got to cash. What's going on over here?
There's a reason you get $2 out of every 100 that's produced on this channel, Johnny Krypto. So
listen, nobody wants to see me without my shirt off. If anybody wants to see his shirt, they want to see abs. There's a reason why he's named Abs. We love you, KG. I'm just kidding.
Somebody said this, Johnny. I'm 67 years old. I would like to be comfortable in the next few years while I'm still relatively healthy. And this is pretty interesting because it's a fact, right? Think about the XRP community. We have such a unique mindset because we are sitting on an opportunity like no other group in the world. There are only 120,000 XRP investors with more than 50,000 tokens today. That means this community is a lot smaller than people anticipate. And even if you look at wallets with above 2,500, there's only about 700,000 people. So there's only really 700,000 people on planet Earth at a maximum who have more than 2,500 XRP. We are not a big community. We are at our inception here. And that's why I think so much growth and prosperity is sitting in front of the average XRP investor. If you're sitting in Apple stock, yeah, you know you're going to make your 10, 20, 30% on good years. When you're sitting in an asset like XRP, I mean, our children may not have an opportunity like this. That is how rare it is. Johnny, you had to wait 25, 30 years from the dot-com bubble, from the internet bubble, for the inception of the internet, all the way to the crypto market today. Nobody can predict what that next emerging market is going to be in the next 25 years. If I had to guess, it'd be something related to AI or some sort of a governance protocol, right? I'm not entirely sure. But the evolution of finance, my goodness, if God came before me and said, I'm going to drop you in the most optimistic time in human history, where would you like to go? I'd say, put me at the inception of crypto. Let me buy some of these assets that are going to only grow for the next 10, 20, 30 years. By the way, let me be one of these early investors. So every single person in our live chat can share that same mindset. We're not doing anything unique. Johnny, myself, we're holding these assets just like you guys, been holding since 2019. Johnny's the same way, 2019, 2020. All you can do is DCA, create the portfolios, understand these projects, and sit and wait for the prosperity that we know is coming. And we're watching it with some of our favorite projects right now. Somebody said, how can you have a tough day listening to these guys? Shout out to you, my friends. And Messi Leo commented, another loyal listener. We seriously appreciate Messi. He's here every single day. $2.51 XRP. I want to give a shout out to this one as well. Fed cuts by the end of the month. We got the big, beautiful bill. We got crypto ETFs. We got a Clarity Act. We got the Genius Act. And we got the Federal Reserve reducing rates sometime this summer. Regardless of how long Jerome Powell holds out here, Johnny Krypto, you couldn't ask for a better picture when you're talking about risk on assets being able to appreciate in price, guys. But if you're excited and you're enjoying this content, smash that like button. Johnny Krypto, floor is yours.
I mean, there's so many catalysts coming, Abs. It's I mean, you just mentioned a whole host of them, and to me, that's another reason to be excited. Is there's just we're waiting for all these catalysts to come. Each one is going to be like an injection of liquidity into this market. And that injection liquidity is just going to continue to drive things up. And I think the difference this time is this is smart money. This is institutional money coming in. It isn't going to go into like shit meme coins and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. The meme coins are going to pump because other people will pump them. The VCs will pump them and the retailers will chase it. But the reality is the institutional money, if you're able to track that, you want to see where the institutional money is going. I agree with Ed. Next week could be a very bullish week. But you're starting to see some of the bullish activity start now. I actually believe what we're seeing right now happening is in front because the smart money always fronts the news. And so I think we're starting to kind of get that lift there. I did want to answer this question. And I think it's very, very important. Where Atlantic Living says, Johnny, are you seriously saying XRP is going to get to a price where we can each have a lake house? What I'm saying is I'm not saying that's going to happen tomorrow. And I'm not saying that's going to happen next year. But I do believe over the next 5 to 10 years, Abs, we will see the appreciation of this whole entire industry to the point that, you know, XRP could be high 2 digits or 3 digits or maybe even 4-digit numbers. And that could certainly, depending on how much XRP you own, you may end up being able to buy multiple lake house. Shit, you may even be able to buy an island at a triple. But we'll see what happens. But the point being is I don't want anybody to think like it's going to happen overnight. You have to be prepared to be patient as this thing runs up. And you have to, and that depends on what lake house. That's true too. But overall, do I think the potential's there, Abs? Absolutely. I really do.
Here's the truth, Johnny. We saw a $2.50 green candle on the monthly XRP price chart. We witnessed that back in November. We watched XRP go from 50 cents in value all the way to $3 in value. Really, it all happened in the month of November. So keep that in mind, guys. We can see the same thing happen towards the back end of this calendar year. And the question that I have for our live chat, guys, do you believe we will get a larger 3-month candle than we witnessed right here? Because I'll show you the data one more time. From October 1st all the way until, let me just get the data correct, until December 31st, XRP was between 50 cents and reached as high as $3. That to me is a $2.50 green candle for the XRP community. And I believe we are going to see a bigger green candle starting at the back end of this year. But live chat, I'd love to ask you, ones in the chat, if you think XRP is going to have a $2.50 monthly candle. Twos in the chat if you think it does not happen. I'd love to hear some of your sentiment. Johnny, I know we got to wrap up soon. You have 8 minutes left. I want to give a big thank you to Johnny Krypto for being here as well and making time for us. Huge shout out to you, my friend. Don't forget, 8 minutes, top's coming off, guys. So we got to remind our boy Johnny Krypto of that. And for anybody who enjoys this content, big thank you to KG.
The top
now, Johnny,
is not coming off at 8 minutes.
Come on.
The top is not coming off it. Nobody wants to see my top come off it. Although someone did say it's been a while since they see me. I lost 40 pounds. I didn't lose 40 pounds. I lost 22 pounds, Abs. I'm very happy. My goal is 40, so I got 20 more to go. I will make you this promise, Abs. Maybe when I get to that target, I will take the top off, and the abs will be. They ain't gonna be like your abs, but they may be good enough where I can take the top off. But it ain't coming off today. But I will say is this. I do want to say this to everybody. Guys, make sure if you haven't already subscribed, you subscribe to this channel. We're trying to help Abs get to 10,000 likes. I'm sorry, not likes, 10,000 subscribers by the end of August. Make it happen. You are the best community in the world. And if you do, Abs has a beautiful hat hidden back there somewhere, a nice white Merlin hat signed by none other than David Schwartz, and that hat will be auctioned off at the 10,000 milestone. So help us get to that milestone before August, or before the end of August, and one of you guys will get to be the lucky winner of that David Schwartz signed hat.
Here's the truth, Johnny. Health is wealth, my friend. And whether XRP is $1,000 or $2, if you can't roll out of bed and feel good about yourself, is it really worth it, guys? So continue to improve. What we're going to do, we're going to use this XRP price chart. We're going to use this momentum to build a community, build a better environment for ourselves, and hopefully get Johnny Krypto a bigger boat between now and 2030, guys. But Johnny, just to wrap up the show, I think we had a great episode today. I want to give a massive thank you to everybody there. I think we got to give KG something. Let's give him a bicep flex before the end of the episode. I think that's a fair consolidation here, guys. So if you'd like to see that, stick around. Now, Johnny, the reality is we're looking at XRP, ready to do things we have never done before, right? And I think it's so important to keep that in mind. What I tried to say at the beginning of the episode was this is unique. This isn't how it's always been. For a long period of time, let me just tell you the dates, from April of 2018 all the way until October of 2024, it wasn't this bullish. People weren't this optimistic. There were a couple of conspiracy theorists and people who are diving in deep on these topics every single day, but that was an extremely unique community. But now the information's right in front of us. Ripple launched the stablecoin, Brad testifying in front of the Senate, BNY Mellon custodying for Ripple's stablecoin as well. I don't want to bore people with the details, Johnny, because I know you only got 2 or 3 minutes here, but any closing remarks for today?
No, Abs, I mean, I think people should be excited. I think people should have a plan. I think that's the most important part. Enjoy this ride. Continue to, monitor the markets. Continue to see. What I want people to do, Abs, is start looking at where the smart money is going. Start looking where the institutional money is going. And we'll be doing the same thing here on these shows, right? As we're hearing institutionals, where they're investing, we're going to be trying to bring that information to you so you know. Because obviously you always want to be stacking your pennies next to their dollars, right? And that's what we want to do. But with that said, Abs, unfortunately, I do have to run. But I will say, all right, so I'm not taking off the shirt. And I don't really, you got the biceps, not me. But I will say, there it is right there. What you gonna do when Cryptomania runs wild on you? Let's go, brother. I'm excited.
Massive thank you, guys. We got 7,000 live listeners here. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to smash that like button on the way out of here. Now, to close out today's episode, I'm just going to let Brad Garlinghouse give his testimony to the United States Senate yesterday. But we appreciate you guys. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to smash that like button. But more importantly, subscribe to the brand new Good Evening Crypto channel. As when we get to 10,000 subscribers, we are going to be giving away a signed David Schwartz hat on the live stream. So we love you guys. We appreciate each and every single one of you. Link said, I can't say it enough. You guys are amazing. You're amazing as well. We see you here every single day, and we appreciate all the people who are diehard supporters. Whether you just show up and watch the show or you do the donations, you hit the like button, we're appreciative for each and every single one of you. And that's why we say we have the best community and the best live chat in all of crypto. Well, we love you guys. We appreciate you all. And we'll see you all in the next one. Here's Garlinghouse.
My name is Brad Garlinghouse. I'm the CEO of Ripple. Ripple has approximately 900 employees across our 15 offices worldwide. We were founded more than a decade ago with a mission to enable the Internet of Value, a world where money moves like information does today. We build software products that power cross-border payments, stablecoins, and digital custody. Ripple helps financial institutions reduce friction, unlock efficiencies, and serve their customers better. These are not abstract concepts. We work every day with banks that rely on our technology to deliver real results in the global economy. Ripple leverages the XRP ledger, a decentralized, battle-tested, open-source blockchain, as well as its native digital asset, XRP, to facilitate payments. XRP is built to enable fast, low-cost, and highly scalable transactions. From the start, Ripple made the deliberate choice to work with policymakers and regulators, not around them. We have taken a compliance-first approach, operating with over 60 payment, service, crypto, and money transmitter licenses domestically and globally. With regard to the topic of this hearing, we believe smart legislation should be based on several core principles. Consumers need protection from fraud and scams. Markets need proper oversight. Bad actors need to be kept in check. And innovation must thrive. A constructive and workable framework for digital assets and stablecoins that achieves these goals will expand access to financial markets, create jobs, strengthen the economy, and put the US on the path to being a global blockchain and crypto leader. For the last decade, the legal and regulatory uncertainty surrounding crypto has prohibited meaningful progress in the US. At Ripple, we certainly saw firsthand how the lack of clear rules of the road can be weaponized to target good actors. In turn, the technology, jobs, and tax dollars that go with it are pushed offshore, reducing regulatory oversight and putting consumers at higher risk. This has severely harmed American businesses, investors, and of most concerned, consumers. Ripple was the tip of the spear for this regulation by enforcement campaign and was subject to an enforcement action in 2020. We were the first leading US company to be sued by the SEC. We and many others understood that a loss here would be a death knell for the industry. Fortunately, after 4 years of a hard-fought legal battle, we prevailed. The court ruled in our favor on everything that mattered, including finding that the token XRP is not, in and of itself, a security. Our victory cleared the path for other market participants to fight back. Despite these headwinds, Ripple